housing in the 20% average median income, 40%, 60%, 80%, as well as the up to the 120% average median income. And that's not what we have right now, but it is. But that's what we need. The way that I would go about increasing the amount of affordable housing in Jersey City would be, number one, to adopt Councilman Navarro's IZO. I would adopt it as, and then I would work to strengthen it, because one of the things it does like is providing for that swath of AMI types, and that's what's missing. Thank you.
Mr. Gilmore?
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come to this platform here to talk about my platform for the Ward F constituency. Affordable housing, I'm looking at a unique opportunity we have at our disposal. There was a good deal of affordable housing built within the last several years, but there's been no oversight over this affordable housing. So case in point, I can be living in an affordable unit, and then I move, and then a person who come in, because there's no check and balance mechanism, that landlord can essentially charge market rate, because no one is looking at if he's adherent to the affordable housing mechanism that was implemented. And the reason why I say we have a unique idea here is because Jersey City have a plethora of vacant land, empty lots all on the corridor of MLK. And we can develop those lots and have those lots be affordable units built. And at some point, we're going to have to switch the conversation from just affordable housing and talk about affordable home ownership. I think we have a unique opportunity to build up all these vacant lots that we have in Jersey City, mainly in Ward F. And within the last 5 years, if my memory serves me correct, the councilman said that the city actually created 5 affordable units within the last 5 years. And that's just not acceptable. We have to make sure we're doing right by all of the residents in Jersey City. And the reality is people are being placed out of Jersey City. The rents are drastically high. And I think we need to have a hard conversation on what exactly is affordable housing. Because affordable to me and affordable to someone else can be two different things. What the sign is?
Councilman Robinson.
Can I read by all of that? So the last debate, the last debate we talked about 5 brand new construction affordable units on Virginia Avenue alone. We also have properties on ED where you live. We have properties on Virginia. We have properties on Fulton. We have properties on Dwight. All home ownership, and we are creating homes right now. You go down the White Street, we have a brand new construction there, and we also have a brand new construction right behind it on Segment that is also being constructed by Garden State Episcopal as we speak as affordable home ownership. Now, can we do more? Absolutely, we can do more, but we are creating home ownership out of vacant lots and houses that were sitting vacant that we were able to take back to the city and make them affordable. And when we talk about affordable units, I know it's a federal standard, but over the last 4 years, I have helped create over 1,500 units, which right now is history in the city of Jersey City. History. That's history being made of how many affordable units we were able to get on the map because we sit on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund every day working to get more affordable housing. I think my specific reference was there were 5 affordable houses, not affordable units, as an apartment complex, affordable housing. So unless and until you can tell us how many affordable housing was built in the last 5 years, I have to take you for your word when you said 5 at the last debate.
So the 5 was brand new constructions on Virginia Avenue. That's just 5. But the one you live in on Eaton is a house that we created as affordable The one on Fulton that's being created right now is affordable. The one on Dwight is affordable. The one on Myrtle Avenue is a rehab that we're fixing up. So the 5 is only on Virginia Avenue. There are multiple home ownership opportunities of affordable housing going on right now.
So you don't know the number.
All right, the next question for Councilman Robinson here.
I started the time.
You don't want to start every time?
I mean, I don't think the show is
Okay, what's up with Frank Gilmore here? Why are you interested in this job? What do you hope to accomplish if you are elected?
Why am I interested in this job? I made a promise with the Creator that if I'm ever afforded a second opportunity in life, I would dedicate this life to a life of community service. And my life of community service has led me into the lane of politics because for the last 7 years in our ward, we've pretty much been ignored time and time again. And we've seen great examples of how city government shouldn't work. So I decided to get in this race to represent the best interests of the entire ward, not just specific people, not just individuals who donated to my campaign, to represent the whole entire ward. For so long, there's been a tale of two cities, and within 2 cities, there's been a tale of 2 wards. I want to bring the whole ward together. I want to make sure we're unified. No longer are we going to be meeting in different areas of the ward about the same exact problem. We're going to be having one meeting with everyone from the ward so that way everyone can have equitable representations for the ward. And I'm running because we need leadership that's going to always act in the interest of the people.
Mr. Richardson, why are you interested in this job? What do you hope to accomplish if you are elected?
I am pursuing this position because it's a continuation of my life's work. Of the 3 of us sitting here on this panel tonight, I have more government policy experience than my 2 opponents combined. I have worked for every level of government, from local to federal, from council members all the way up to vice president, presidents of the United States. This has been what I have pursued my entire adult life, attempting to make communities whole and improve communities not only here locally but across the United States. So I was the last person to get in this race. The councilman announced that he was going to be running for the election formally almost a year and a half ago in January. Mr. Gilmore announced, I believe in February, that he was running for election. And usually in Ward F, we usually have the most number of candidates that participate in our council races. And I sat on the sideline waiting to see who else would jump in. And no one else did. And I am one who oftentimes levied a slew of complaints about how our local government performs, and I have for decades. And I didn't want to continue to be on the outside railing against what happens at City Hall. I wanted to be a participant in creating a different path forward. So that's why I decided to run for this office.
Thank you. Councilman Robinson, you've been a councilman for the last 4 years. What is it about the job that makes you want to do it for 4 more years? What are your goals for the next 4 years?
So that's an easy one. I mean, I got into this because I really truly care about the city that I represent. I'm a lifelong resident from the Greenville section. I lost my first friend at 14 years old to gun violence, Charles Hall, and I lost my second at 16. I lost my third at 19, and if it wasn't for the praying hands of my mother that's sitting right here today, and sometimes the whooping hands, and my dad, I could have very easily been somewhere else at this moment in my life. But I'm sitting here in front of you today because I had an opportunity to have coaches, to have mentors, to have business owners that talk to me and show me a way. And I'm sitting here because I want to make sure that I'm giving the next youth, the next generation an opportunity to grow and be better and to also live here in Jersey City and Ward F. As you know, I talked about fighting for affordable housing. We have historic numbers. And that's no accident. That's because we put in the work every single day to make sure that we're doing the right things for the community as a whole. The first thing I got when I was told when I walked into the city hall, they told me, we need to be affordable and we also need something for the children to do. And that's my aim, to make sure we have that. We've got we have the first recreation center here in Ward F approved. That's the first in 180 plus years of Jersey City being a city. That's the first in history. So what we're doing is making history, and along the way, we're helping change lives. As a business owner in the community, I help change lives by turning employees into employers. I had a worker named Candido. Candido had a 26-year sentence, and it was the Obama administration who let Candido out of prison early. And I hired Candido with the help of JSEC. And now Candido is not working for me anymore, but Candido has 2 businesses here in Ward F right now.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Gilmore here for a general question.
There's no rebuttals? No, yes.
The one rebuttal first, and then we'll move on.
Okay, I just want the record to be clear. Mr. Richardson's only reason for running is there was only 2 other candidates in the field, right? I just want the record to reflect that. And I also want the record to reflect, Mr. Richardson is absolutely right. There's always a lot of people running in Ward F, but I assure you that there are several people who's not running because they are backing me and they believe in my leadership. Next one.
Okay, so for Frank here, how would you develop a multi-pronged program to facilitate safer streets for pedestrians, bikes, and cars? How would you develop a multi-pronged program to facilitate safer streets for pedestrians, bikes, and cars?
You said multi-pronged?
Prong, like different facets of the program. Prong.
Oh, prong.
Prong, yeah.
How will we create that? Well, the thing about the safety with respect to bike lanes, as I understand it, there's 2 different type of bike lanes. So we have the bike lanes where it's actually carved out nice and pretty, and have the colors inside, and it has the emojis on where people are supposed to travel, and then it's the other protected bike lanes, if you will, that essentially just have the white lines. And I would really just like to really specify how these plans are being laid out, and 2, understanding that these plans are going to be different in different communities because of the traffic patterns. Now, I'm not anti-bike lanes, I am pro-responsible bike lanes, because again, each area calls for a different level of bike lanes to be installed in that area. And we have to do a better job at making sure when we're installing these bike lanes that we're looking at real traffic studies. Not outdated traffic studies. We need to make sure that we're looking at real traffic studies, because ultimately we want to make sure people are safe. We also want to make sure people are getting to and from their destination in an efficient manner. So my plan for the having safer streets is essentially just be transparent on what we are trying to do while we're trying to do that. I think that's when we get ourselves in a lot of trouble in municipal government, is a certain group of people know about a certain group of projects that's coming to fruition, and then we wake up and then we're like, oh, well, we didn't know. And then some people are like, well, we advertised it. No, we need that. We need you to advertise the programs that you plan to lay out, like we advertise that you're running for elected office. We have to do a better job at making sure all constituents are involved in these plans for these safe streets, as we're the ones trying in the streets.
Thank you. Mr. Richardson, how would you develop a multi-pronged program to facilitate safer streets for pedestrians, bikes, and cars?
I definitely agree with the tail end of what Frank said, that I think what is most important is to get more involvement in the decision making. It can't be a small group of people, a subset of people that have a special interest, or folks that are pushing a philosophy behind all of that. I believe that in order to do this, we also must recognize that Jersey City is an old community. Some of our streets are just not equipped to be able to be the site of a bike lane, but most of our main thoroughfares certainly could accommodate it. We need to get away from kind of what Frank hinted on early on, the mishmash of different types of bike lanes, so that even the bicyclists don't even necessarily recognize where to go, or is this the bike lane, or is that the bike lane going in either direction? So, but greater participation on all of this is on all issues would be my goal.
It's our same question. How would you develop a multi-pronged program, Councilman, to facilitate safer streets for pedestrians, bikes, and cars?
I mean, this is what we've been doing in city government for the last 4 years. We've been working on Vision Zero. Vision Zero is something that was created to have zero homicides, zero fatalities by vehicles. We use things like bump outs, if you see the cones on the corner. We use things as bump outs on the curb so pedestrians can be closer to the other side of the street. We added so many new speed bumps throughout our city to slow it down, to slow traffic down. We've also been meeting and working with the engineer department, Barker and Paul and Andrew. They're like amazing. I meet with them often to just talk about the things going on in the community. And when we talk about the bike lanes and Vision Zero, we had so many community meetings on that. It was at Dr. William Edwards. We had one in Van Vorst Park, inside the park. We had one at Arlington Park. We also had one down at Triangle Park on Old Bergen Road. So it's a multifaceted approach because myself, the engineer, administration, we all sit together and we talk to the community. We're outside often to ask them exactly what they need to see. And like I said, putting speed bumps. And the other thing is when we looked at like Jersey Avenue, and we talked about the bridge coming in, for the last 10 years. And recently myself in the last couple of years talking about the Jersey Avenue Bridge, we spoke about how many stop signs we would need on Jersey Avenue to slow traffic down or either deter traffic from coming in Jersey Avenue. I've been working with the mayor as early as this morning, as recent as this morning, talking about maybe we need to reverse traffic from one part of Jersey Avenue to make sure that we don't have speeding cars coming through our neighborhoods every day.
Thank you. So a question from Mr. Gilmore here. What does an ideal relationship between citizens and the police look like to you? How would you work towards that as a council person?
Oh, wow, that's a great, whoever came up with that crazy question, I want to thank y'all personally. As I have firsthand experience in dealing with law enforcement and dealing with the community. So an ideal relationship with community and policing is one, being transparent, know and understand what is our ultimate goal. We don't have to like each other, we don't always have to agree, but we all must stick to our ultimate goal, and that's to ensure that the entire community is safe. We need to make sure we're having more meetings, and not just meetings with action marks, meetings with benchmark. We met this last meeting, we talked about this, these are our goals. The next meeting, where are we at with respect to the goals we set last meeting? And the reality is, we have to have this hard conversation, because for so long, there just hasn't been enough interaction with police and community. So myself personally, I come from the coaching world, we play basketball. I purposely incorporate a community and police game because I want the community to see officers outside of their uniforms. I want the officers to see people in the community in a welcome environment. So it's relationships like that, and it's things like that that we can do to foster a better relationship. And there also has to be a level of accountability, and this accountability must be on both fronts. And again, you're not going to agree on everything. But the one thing we will agree on is that we all want to live in a safer community. And me personally, a lot of people that I went to school with are actually cops now. And I have a great relationship with the community. And as a community advocate, I've been actually fostering that relationship between police and community. So that's why you stand by my side, you'll see police ride by every day. Hey, Mr. Gilmore, kids going to school, whatever.
Mr. Richardson, what does an ideal relationship between the citizens and the police look like for you? How would you work towards that as a councilman?
Anytime a candidate for council starts talking about what they're going to do relative to the police, I would warn you that they're lying to you. That is not within the purview of a city councilman. City council member's job is to legislate and to pass a budget. Yes, you have the bully pulpit that you can utilize, but that's not the core business of a councilman. And that, quite frankly, is the problem here, is that Frank Gilmore is going to talk about all the great things he could do, but he won't tell you how he's going to accomplish it. Councilman Robinson talks about all the great things that have been done, but they've been done by the administration. So the best relationship that the city can have with a police department is a distant relationship, so that we don't have to have the need to interact with the police so often. But that is not the role. That is not the role of a city councilman. Thank you.
Councilman, what does an ideal relationship between citizens and the police look like to you? How would you work towards that as a councilman?
I mean, so obviously, I don't think we all understand how government works because, yes, we do work with the administration every day. And I do have a relationship with all the police officers on a day-to-day basis. I actually was the only candidate here that is endorsed by the POBA and also endorsed by BLESS, Black Criminal Law Enforcement Service Community, because of that relationship that we've been fostering. We work so hard to make sure our police department represents our community. Over the last 5 years, we've hired over 70% of our new hires are minorities. We didn't wait for the state. We took it a step further and we hired a citizen because we were talking about the CCRB and we were waiting for the state to pass it to give us permission. But what we did is the CCRB is a citizen complaint review board. What we did is we went a step further and we hired a citizen to run our police department. And what we start doing every day is making sure that we have community programs for in what you call community policing. We have Stop, Park, and Walk that we've been working on that gets out and walks into every senior building, especially inside of Ward F. I'm not sure how it works in other parts of the city. We've been doing Rock the Block and Rocking with the Seniors. That's when the police officers come out of uniforms, we close down the street, we bring food, we bring games, and we bring the people together. And the police officers in the community love it. Ms. Shirley told me that that is the highlight of her day and most of the people in her building because they get to meet the police officers on a very personal level instead of only seeing them when it's time to call 911.
Thank you.
Hey, we start on rebuttals or no?
1 minute rebuttal.
I just want the councilman to be very cognizant and very conscientious that BLESS is actually a not-for-profit and they're not supposed to take in the political arena. And two, the PVA actually didn't endorse you, they endorsed Team Fuller. So I don't think that's anything to credit to you and your relationship with the police officers. And three, I think you misunderstanding what community and police relationship you misunderstanding what it is because all the instance you gave is with seniors and the police. We don't really have a tainted relationship between seniors and police. The tainted relationship is with the community at large, with the younger individual that feel like officers may be stereotyping them, being aggressive with them, treating them in an unethical manner. So I think you're missing a mark on what the question is, and you're also missing a mark on what's supposed to be done. And for the record, the programs that you're naming, you're not the architect of those programs.
But I would offer to you, Frank, that Ms. Shirley isn't out there committing crimes thanks to that program. Isn't that awesome?
So rocking with the block is not about seniors, it's about the community at large. And I think you don't understand how government actually works, because I may not be an architect of programs, but we work together in a fashion to get things done for the entire community. This is not an I or me or I thing. This is a we thing, it's a city thing, it's for the entire Ward F. So yes, some things I am not the architect, but we work very hard to make sure that the people in the city are safe and well taken care of. And the other thing is, we all had a meeting. You were there, and we talked to the POBA. We sat there and we talked. And they did endorse me because they realized that you were flip-flopping on top of them. You would say one day, defund the police, and then the next day, we need more guns, or we need you guys to be safer. And the next day, you go back to the other thing. So actually, we did sit down together. You were in the meeting, I was in the meeting. Every candidate was there, minus one or two. And they decided on which team or which individuals they wanted to endorse. And yes, they did endorse.
Thank you.
Next question.
State law requires a property tax reevaluation every 5 years. What measures will you take to ensure it is done in a timely fashion?
Can we switch the order? And,
Councilman, you want to start?
One time with the question.
State law requires a property tax reevaluation every 5 years. What measures will you take to ensure it is done in a timely fashion?
So we haven't waited on it. We actually already started talking about the next revow. There were some residents that emailed my office and talked to the administration about having a revow the very next year. So we are ready for it. If I'm still in office when it comes, then we will definitely still keep working on a revow. I know property taxes are ultra important, and you know, when the revow happened, it really hurt a lot of families in the downtown area, because it took their property from $10,000 to $50,000 in taxes to $50,000 overnight. And I know the difference in property taxes, because it's the difference between a person being able to take a vacation, people being able to pay for their students, the kids to go to school, also being able to just put some food on the table at times. I mean, we have residents that talk to me all the time about Airbnb and renting out rooms and going the extra mile just to keep their property taxes. And I know for sure that when we look at the residents of downtown, we can say that their property value is $6 or $10 million, but it really only makes sense if you sell your property. And I know for a fact that a lot of people want to remain here in our city. So as much as we can do as soon as possible to make the revow. And the other thing is, when we look at the property values downtown, the only way a revow is ever going to work is if we spend a lot of time and energy making other parts of the city grow and the values go up. Because if the other values don't go up around the city, a revow will leave the property values being the same and taxes being the same. So it's my job as a council person to make sure when I'm on the south side of the city, I do everything possible to bring those values up on the other side of the city. So when we do have the revow, it helps the residents of downtown that much more.
State law requires property tax reevaluation every 5 years. What measures will you take to ensure it's done in a timely fashion? Please hold the mic close to now.
Yes, thank you. What I would do is I would legislate an easing on the revow. And the way that I would accomplish that is I would break out the city into 5 sectors, and so that we could do a reevaluation of properties in each section each year, so that the city doesn't go through an entire shock every 5 years, or in our case, every 20 some odd years when we do it. It should be something that would be more gradual, so that, we don't, what we had about 2 years ago, where suddenly people were shifting around the city. People from downtown were suddenly going up into the Heights. People in the Heights couldn't take that shop, and they were moving to other sections of town. And then in some sections of the town, people had to leave altogether because of they had no place to go because of it. So that's how I would approach it. I would legislate it so that it would be built into our system. We would budget for that sector each year, so it wouldn't be a big financial shock to the city as well.
Yes, I think, well, the state law, I don't even know how we at this juncture, but state law is mandated that this reval needs to be done every year. Then that's, I mean, every 5 years, then that's what has to be done. We need to make sure that we're implementing a mechanism where we're essentially simulating where we will be at in that 5 years. So homeowners, renters, and individuals that just live in Jersey City can really assess how the property is increasing in a particular area or decreasing in a particular area. Because if we do it every 5 years, I don't know about you, but I'm of the impression or of the opinion that the difference between paying your taxes 5 years and 10 years is different between you having a house and not having a house. Because I spoke with a gentleman on, what is that, Vernon and Wayne and Vernon, who's actually on the corner property, and he was saying how rapid or how high his tax went. And the reality is everyone can't afford that financial overhaul. So there needs to be a mechanism where we have some form of simulation metric where people can see where the assessed value of their property is going to be and how much their taxes are going up, so they can begin to prepare for that. Because what can't happen is people cannot be forced to move out of their houses. A lot of people are in houses that was there for generations. Their grandparents left it to their parents, who subsequently left it to them. And it's a disservice on the behalf of the municipal government when these people are being displaced and pushed out.
All right, starting with Mr. Richardson here, going Councilman Robinson and Frank. The scarcity of active open space in downtown Jersey City is well known. Is it time to modify the use of single activity spaces such as ball courts to accommodate other sport activities? What other options are available to provide active spaces for residents?
We are actively moving in that direction across the city, not just for downtown. There are a number of fields that are baseball or softball only that are moving to being multi-purpose fields, so as to allow for greater usage throughout the calendar year and also more public access to those fields. So that's already in the process of taking place. We're looking at Queens Jones Park, doing something like that there. Potentially even over at Mary Benson Park as well. Just looking at other places downtown that I think those are the two that are downtown that we're really actively looking at over the next year and a half. So, that's coming down the line.
So we're actually working right now on Gatewayville, and we put $5 million a year into our open space parks. We actually just created a park on Fairview Avenue out of 2 streets that were like merging into each other. So we're actually working hard to create new parks, and we just need more spaces, especially when we talk about downtown and creating multi-purpose fields, multi-purpose things, as such as we're doing at Berry Lane Park. We also have, we went to put it on the agenda for the residents to vote on, and we do have an open space trust fund now that we're using that is actually bringing the city up. It's one fifth of every cent of your taxes are going to open space trust fund dollars, and it is bringing the city right now $1 million. We're actually working to work in Liberty State Park right now. There's 250 acres of space that was contaminated that I've been working with the Friends of Liberty State Park and the DEP to bring that, and the Assemblyman, Raj Mukherjee, and Assemblywoman, to bring that space up to, first to clean it up, and to also create a much needed, I think we have another meeting on the 10th of this month with the DEP, and it's gonna help create almost 80 acres of that land being used for active recreation. So that would help downtown very much so. But if you just be able to walk straight over the bridge, you'll have all of the activities that you need: ball fields, tennis courts, swimming, food truck pavilions, everything like that. So I think we're really working hard right now, and hopefully we'll see that come to fruition really soon.
Yes, I think multi-purpose fields are great, as you can have multiple uses on that same field. So I think we have a unique opportunity to make sure we're getting the best bang for our buck, so to speak, by having multiple activities on certain fields. And I think it's just a no-brainer. But I think Councilman Robinson is being very disingenuous with respect to you saying that you were working with friends at Liberty State Park. The very group I stood with in the beginning, and you called racist. So I think it's very disingenuous to present that information to the crowd at large that you're working with that entity. And again, multi-purpose fields is multi-beneficial. Also, it offers several benefits for us to do that, because we can essentially have 3 fields in one, which essentially will give more people access to those fields. So I think that's a great idea to have multi-purpose fields.
I would just add to that, the councilman mentioned Gateway Field, which was not an additional field. It was just a renovation of the multi-purpose field that was in place that got damaged during Hurricane Sandy. It's already completed. That was done through a grant from the county. He mentioned a park at Fairview. I think you meant Fairmont. Fairmont, it doesn't have any kind of field, and it's not done yet. It would be a playground. So that doesn't speak directly to the question. And that was also state funds that were dedicated to that. The municipality did not provide funds to create even that park. And that is part of the problem that I'm talking about, is that there has to be an effort within our ward to direct the funds to the areas of need, and not just wait for some bailout from the state or from the county we should be ready to have them augment what we do, not doing it, waiting for them to.
So we do use $5 million a year to put towards parks, and the Open Space Trust Fund is earning us $1 million a year right now to be used towards open space parks.
Okay, so for Mr. Richardson, our question is, do you think this has been a dirty campaign so far? Why or why not?
There are a lot of aspects of this that have been dirty, but I don't know if we would all agree on where the filth lies, right? Recently, folks have jumped on the fact that flyers went out across this ward listing reasons why a candidate was previously arrested. And folks jumped up and said, ow, ow, that was dirty. I don't know that that in particular was dirty. It was, the message that was being conveyed was not good, but it wasn't factually inaccurate. The candidate has made that part of his narrative. He's been saying that this is who I am. I've redeemed myself. I'm no longer that person. So I don't think that it was that was dirty to just mention the past, because it was factually accurate. What I do think is dirty, the innuendo that has been put out that somehow my candidacy is some sort of secret plot. It's almost like Trumpian to come up with these conspiracy theories, as if votes belong to one candidate or the other, and somehow this is some sort of plot. The reason why folks should vote for me is because I'm the best candidate in this race. And if they don't think I'm the best candidate in the race, they should vote for one of the other two. Simple as that.
Councilman Robinson, do you think this has been a dirty campaign so far? Why or why not?
So this is my third time running for office. I actually ran in 2013 as part of the Healy slate at the time. And I ran in 2017 with our mayor, Stephen Fulop, and now I'm running again for re-election. I'm part of Team Fulop, and this is the first time I've seen, well, it's not the first time I've seen flyers go out. I believe a long time ago, I've seen some cards or report cards with F's on them saying you failed the community. It wasn't, I don't think it was about any of us up here, but I have never said one bad thing about my opponents, and I'm glad tonight there is a respect among men and a respect among the candidates that's sitting here tonight, because this is how it is supposed to be at all times. We're supposed to be gentlemen. We're supposed to do exactly what we plan to do and say for the community, and what we plan to do, and what our record is, and what our track record is, and what we've been able to accomplish, and what we're going to be able to accomplish. But I don't think it's a dirty campaign because of one flyer comes out and no one takes responsibility for the flyer. I think it was, I don't think it was like Vernon said, it probably was factually correct, but who did it and what happened and why it happened, I don't think this is the only time that it's ever happened. And I actually, seen Frank the other day walking down the street. We were campaigning on the same street, and we said hello and had pleasantries. So I don't think it's a dirty campaign. I mean, social media may make things different than what they really appear in real life, but in real life, you see three gentlemen sitting up here talking about the facts of what happens and what's going to happen over the next 4 years.
This is everything that's wrong with city government, right? We have a great question coming from the constituency with respect to have this been a dirty campaign or not. You can't look me in my face and be very truthful and say that this has been a Clinton campaign. It has been extremely dirty. And here's why it's been dirty. Because the current administration know that they're losing. So they're trying to, instead of putting what they're going to do for the community, they're trying to tarnish who they perceive to be the front runner, to essentially try to scare people away from voting for that opponent. Another thing, both of you said that there was a lot of facts in that flyer. That also goes to show you that you don't pay attention to details. One, is illegal to distribute flyer without any paid for, and also having identifying markers. Something both of you are municipal employees, and both of you know election laws, and none of you said nothing about it. That's very telling right there. And two, it's clearly who these attacks are coming from. This is a full sheet of paper, front and back, gloss, multicolor. And it wasn't just in Ward F. It was all the way down to the exchange place, all the way up by Kerry Wood. Someone kicked out some big money. Now, the bigger question is, why? Why are you willing to spend all that money for this literature and then pay manpower to have that literature distributed? Now, this is the reality, Ward F. This is your choice. Either you vote for someone who found their way in Frank Gilmore, or you vote for someone who lost their way in Jermaine Robertson, or you vote for someone who's in the way in Vernon Richardson. That is the reality.
Please, no clapping. We're late to come.
Yeah, so one thing that Frank omitted from his statement was he started off by saying there were lies. He mentioned not one lie that was in it. And when you say I didn't say anything about it, and the only article that I was quoted in I let off, and it was the first thing that came out of my mouth. It was the first thing in the article. It said one thing that was wrong with it, it missed a K-4 bond, and that is highly unseemly, right? But it is also quite silly, and it was quoted in the paper, it is quite silly to contest something that is actually true. So what was in it was true. There was an omission there that was wrong and illegal in the state of New Jersey. I know it. You point out that we're two city employees. Guess what? We all draw our check from the same employer.
So like I said, I mean, I think this is three gentlemen here that sit and talk, and I've been on my competition Facebook and social media page for over a year, and I've never responded to one thing that was thrown out there. There's been times we had a debate last week with all the pastors, and he accused me of taking money from developers, which I've never taken money from. And even this time when we went to run, we sat down with the team, and I told the mayor I didn't want to raise money. And the reason I didn't want to raise money is because I didn't want to ask anyone for money. I wanted this election to be only about the facts and how hard we can work, and not be able to talk to people that have given me money. Like, I've been on your page multiple times. You've been telling people all around the city that I take money from developers, which is a lie. You put me on milk cartons. You put me on the Maury Povich show. You put me on all of your things, which are all lies. But the sad truth is that flyer that came out is 100% true. And I've seen an article in the paper. You actually told them to go do your research yourself, and they found a research.
You're at time here. Thank you.
That's it. Gentlemen, thank you. It was very interesting and very enlightening, and we appreciate the time that you spent with us, as well as our moderators and our timekeeper. Give them a round of applause. Thank you.